Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada, where many people are preparing for the Christmas and New Year holidays. I hope everybody is having or has had a fantastic week so far, and I hope you're all looking forward to a wonderful weekend. Hi Mal, hi students, good to see everybody in this class already and ready to learn. Students, this class is an IELTS reading class for Band 9 results and looking at Band 9 strategies. Welcome Jamil. Hi Carolina, welcome to our chat moderator, making sure everybody is doing the best they can in the chat. Hi Zakra, nice to see new members coming into the class as well. Good to see everybody. Students, in this class we are going to be using some materials from our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Be sure to visit our websites when you get the chance. For maximum learning, this is our academic IELTS website here with this blue background. All you need to do is click this big red button just above my head to join our premium IELTS package. It's a one-time payment, doesn't cost a lot. It's about 1/10 the cost of the actual IELTS exam. It's well worth your investment. We are an official British Council IELTS Test Registration Center. We communicate with British Council regularly. We're certified British Council agents, so you are in great hands with us. For the general IELTS, we have a different website because the reading, the writing, they're different for the general IELTS. And click here to join our general IELTS at gieltshelp.com. Faria, Emiran, Bal, Sidio, Khalad, good to see so many of you joining in. Khalad coming in from the UAE. I'm betting it's a lot warmer there than it is here right now. All right, everyone. So if you have any questions about the IELTS or about our products, just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com and I will get back to you in due time. Get our apps, Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help, from your app stores. The apps support the websites. They're connected, so you can link the two together for some really great learning. You can also follow us on Instagram, IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTS Help. Those are our Instagram profiles where we post videos, vocabulary. People love them. We've got thousands of followers, so check that out. Again, we've got classes today and tomorrow, so no rest for the wicked, as they say. We've got some writing tomorrow and some speaking as well tomorrow. And now we are going to take a look at some reading. Here we go, bada bing, bada boom. Reading passage for today is this beautiful looking tiger here in the photo. And the title of our reading passage is Animals of Different Stripes. Okay, everyone. IELTS reading, we're looking at an academic reading right now. This is an academic IELTS reading passage, but if you're doing the general IELTS, then your reading could be very similar to this one for your reading section 3. Okay, so reading section 3 of the general IELTS is pretty much identical to the reading sections of the academic IELTS. So if you're looking for those high band scores in the general IELTS, especially for those of you who want to get a fast-track visa to countries like Canada, where those fast visas need a band 7 or more, then you need to do a really good job in Section 3 of the general IELTS as well, and for that you can easily use academic IELTS reading passages. So that's a hint, hint, hint. Hi Andre, hi Baljeet, good to have more people joining in. All right, whenever you have a picture like this, remember students that a picture is worth 1,000 words, okay? So the picture will give you lots of help. It's a reminder that you should be visualizing information. So this is an expression or saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. This means that pictures contain a lot of information. So use these to help you visualize. Let me capitalize that. Visualize the passage and understand it. Okay, that's what you should be doing when you see a picture. So right away when we look at this picture and then we read the title, Animals of Different Stripes, we know that, this passage is probably going to be about tigers. All right, so something about these giant cats, these giant felines. Okay. All right. You're very, very welcome, Bikal, and thank you for the Christmas wishes, Eugene. I am looking at the chat, everybody, at the same time as I'm teaching you here, so I see what's going on with all of you. Okay, so the first step when we're looking at a passage like this is try to predict what you're going to read based on the title and the picture, if you've got one. So step 1, remember, we're talking about band 9 steps. Right, so strategies to get those high band scores. So step 1 is predict the content of the passage based on the title and the picture if you have one. You don't always have a picture. Okay. So what do you think, everyone? What are we going to be reading about here? So what will this passage be about? Okay, that's what you should ask, all right? Okay, Bakrat says, at tiger, be like, give me toothpaste, I want to brush my teeth. Why? Because it's showing its big fangs, its big canines. By the way, these are called canine incisors. Okay. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It's got some nice big teeth, though. I definitely wouldn't want to be bitten by those teeth. Deepak, I'm in Canada, in Victoria on the West Coast. All right. Let's see. All right. Babesh, no, the difficulty of the books are pretty much the same. Okay. Otis says it's probably going to be about the tiger, its lifespan, its reproduction. Yeah, Otis, maybe you can simplify that a little bit. So this passage will be about tigers. When you're thinking about the living world, like when you're thinking about animals, there's really two components that you should be thinking about. So about tigers and their habits and habitats. Okay, so habits means their behavior. Okay, and habitats means their living space. So where they live, right? So when we talk about animals, that's usually what we discuss, all right? Miles says maybe the types of felines in the wilderness. Yeah, so the different types of felines in the wilderness. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Mian says maybe just some different types of tigers. There's actually a lot of them. I was surprised. I went to a big zoo in Europe a couple of years ago before COVID, and I was surprised. They had like 6 different types of tigers or something. It was really impressive. I think there's 9 different types of tigers in the world, right? So Mian says different types of tigers. Okay, and why? So why read about tigers? What do you think? So what do you think the reason that the examiner not examiner, the author. So why do you think the author would present information about different tigers? Hopefully you kind of have the same idea as me, because tigers are awesome. And because they're endangered. Unfortunately, that's a sad part. Okay, so they're kind of dying out because of humans, of course. Yeah, so Colette says some types are about to be extinct. Yeah, it's possible. Okay, all right. So we've got lots of information there. Now, let's take a look at the questions. So that's step number 2. We look at the questions. Hopefully we can get some more information here. Okay. So step 2, look at the questions. Why? To get more information. All right. Yeah, Robin Hood says maybe we're reading about tigers for public knowledge and to boost their preservation. Yeah, so that we're thinking about, hey, yeah, you know, we might want to save these beautiful animals. Yeah, Romaine saying the threat of extinction. Absolutely. Simran saying, please do it fast. All right, to see how you can solve a reading passage quickly. I'm going to do that, so I'm going to get into a pretty good pace here, everyone. But again, I'm giving you the strategies on how to improve your reading at home and during the exam. So these are the steps that you need to take at home. And at home, you have to be slow and careful and then practice doing it quickly so that when you get to the exam, you can do these steps very fast, okay? So here we have looking at questions. So it says classify the following facts as applying to. So this is a classification type question. Bengal tigers and Siberian tigers. Okay, so I definitely see that there are 2 types of tigers here in question. Bengal tigers and Siberian tigers. All of this information is in the passage, so it's good to read before the passage. Okay. All right. Lives further from the equator, has significantly higher population, exhibits large size fluctuations depending on geography, grows no additional fur during different seasons, lives in a climate with large temperature fluctuations. All right, now when you're doing this at home, you want to paraphrase these, okay? So in the reading, you're likely not going to see. So if you're like searching or skimming and scanning for keywords like equator, you might not find that word, okay? So you have to be careful. So lives more in the north or south from the Earth's center line. Okay, the equator is the line that goes around the center of the world. All right, so from the center world, it has a significantly higher population. All right, there are many more of them living in the world. Okay, in the real exam, you're doing this in your head, this paraphrasing very, very quickly. Okay. Exhibits large size fluctuations depending on geography. It can be much bigger depending on where it lives. Okay. Grows no additional fur during different seasons. That's called shedding. So like some of you probably have cats and dogs, and at different times of the year, when it's hot or cold, they grow fur or they lose fur. It's called shedding. Does not shed during winter, well, I should say during summer, and grow fur during winter, right? Because that's what it is. That's the logic behind it. They lose the bigger coat, the bigger fur during summer so that they get ready for the higher temperatures, and then they grow more fur for the winter so that they can stay warm. Okay. Rushona says they live in sunny countries. Perhaps. Okay. Bandita says they live far from the Earth's center meridian. Not the center, because that means they're inside of the center of the Earth, Bandita, like the magma. Okay, so be careful. Okay, lives in a climate with large temperature fluctuations. Okay, so survives in weather that is extreme, right? So highs and lows, okay? All right, so you have the originals and then you have my paraphrasing here. I just quickly paraphrase these so I get a better idea of what the information is that I'm going to be looking for. Plus it helps me understand the passage more, and it will actually help me move quickly through the passage. You do this kind of paraphrasing on paper at home, and then you do it in your head in the official exam. Okay, here we have a yes, no, not given question. This is like true, false, not given. A lot of students, a lot of candidates find this challenging. It's not so bad. Tip number one is don't read this before the passage because we don't know which answers are no, which are not given, so it can be confusing. All right. So we skip those ones. We skip the true, false, not given. Okay, and then here we have complete each sentence with information from the passage. This is called sentence completion type question. Pay attention. Write no more than 2 words. Okay, always pay attention to that. So if it says 1 word and you write 2 words, or if it's like this and it says 2 words and you write 3 words, you'll get it wrong. Okay, even if they're correct words, you'll get it wrong. Humans are not a part of the tiger's regular something. While not common, the Bengal tiger will resort to something humans, especially if they are unable to process the flesh of other animals. Attacks by Bengals are often committed in defense of the tiger's something. Okay, so I've read those, and here I can obviously see that the passage will include information about the tigers eating and their habitat, or their habits, sorry, their behaviors. So I know that my prediction was correct. And then I go back to the passage and I read and I visualize. So we're going to do that, everyone. We're going to read and we're going to visualize. And I'm making this a little bit bigger so that we can really see this even for those of you who are on mobile. Let's see, just making sure that that's good for you. Okay. All right, Robin Hood, don't try to guess the answer, all right? Okay, so this is kind of like a magazine style, so you're reading like this and then down and then across and then down, okay? So keep that in mind. They show different kinds of formats on the IELTS for different passages. Okay, everyone, instead of listening to my old boring voice, let's listen to a British person read this passage for us. So in order to do that, all we need to do is jump to the website. Wow. This one, because it's academic, it's going to be in your academic website here. And again, students, to join our premium package, all you need to do is click this big red button. It's a one-time payment. It's really well worth it. There's 6 full practice exams. We're adding 4 more new exams in the new year. So we jump to into my student account. In my student account, I've got lots and lots of goodies, computer-based IELTS practice exams. We've got a fully interactive course, and then workbooks and lots more, but videos, tons and tons of videos. But what I'm really looking for here is these IELTS audio CDs, okay? So we're going to listen and read, everybody. So again, this passage is, you will see it always at the top. So it says right up here, audio CD2 track 6. Okay, so I'm looking for CD2 and track 6 in my audio CDs here. So boom, boom, boom. And get ready to read, everyone. CD2, track 6. Here we go.
The Siberian and Bengal tigers. The Siberian and Bengal tigers are two of the most well-known types of tigers. These tigers are very similar. In fact, they come from the same species, but they do have some important differences. These similarities and differences, while interesting to note, are vital pieces of information for the people in charge of the conservation of endangered species of tigers. Wildlife conservationists have to tell the difference between the two in order to keep accurate accounts of the respective populations. The first main difference between the two tigers is the location of their habitats. The Siberian tiger today lives only in the far northeast part of Russia, called Siberia, although it used to live as far west as Western Asia and as far east as parts of Alaska. One of the main reasons Siberian tigers do not live in China anymore is due to widespread illegal hunting there in the past. Bengal tigers live in a warmer, more southern climate. They reside mostly in India, but also in Bangladesh, Nepal and Bhutan. Bengal tigers are the most numerous of all tigers, with approximately 1,800 living in the wild worldwide. Siberian tigers, conversely, number only about 200 to 300 in their natural habitats. Both tigers are extremely popular zoo exhibits, which further contributes to the low numbers of both, especially the Siberian tiger. There have been efforts to breed Siberian tigers in captivity, and many of these efforts have been successful. However, the offspring are unfit to live in the wild. At the very least, these efforts allow zoos to maintain their exhibits without taking even more tigers out of the wild population. Siberian tigers on average are larger than Bengals. The average weight of a Bengal male is about 220 kilograms, while the weight of a Siberian averages slightly heavier. Amazingly, Siberian tigers can be as large as 320 kilograms. The lengths of these animals are also different. On average, male Siberian tigers have a nose-to-tail length of 3 meters, while the Bengal's length is slightly shorter. Their tail lengths, interestingly, are the same, averaging around 1 meter. One notable observation is that the farther north in the Bengal tiger's habitat, the larger the animals get. The average weight of a tiger in northern India is about 15 kilograms more than ones in southern India, where the average recorded weight is 220 kilograms. Another clear difference between the two tigers is the seasonal growth of a winter coat for the Siberian tiger. Since they live in northern Russia, which is an unforgiving climate in the winter, the ability to endure temperatures well below freezing is essential for survival. Unlike the Bengal tiger, which lives in more equatorial climates around India, where the temperatures are more or less the same year-round, the Siberian lives in a climate where the temperature can vary more than 50 degrees Celsius. Because of this, Siberians grow longer fur in the winter. For example, the fur on the Siberian's back in the summer measures about 16 millimeters, while in winter this length almost triples. the Bengal tiger has no need for such a long winter coat. The two tigers share many similarities, including diet and reproduction. Being carnivorous, other animals are the food supply for both. The types of animals hunted are various due to the different regions that are home to these tigers. Bengals eat animals such as wild boar, water buffalo, and chital, while Siberian tigers eat primarily wild boar, deer, and moose. Bengals and Siberians have very similar reproductive cycles. Both tigers reach maturity around 4 years of age, at which time they begin their mating rituals. The females are pregnant for about 15 weeks and give birth to between 1 and 4 cubs. Each of these cubs weighs about 1 kilogram and will be entirely dependent on their mother for the first 6 months of life. After that time, they begin their learning process, where they develop the skills they need to hunt and kill for survival. After 2 or 3 years, the cubs are ready to leave their mother and hunt independently. And at the age of 4 or 5, they reach sexual maturity, and so the cycle continues. One last difference between the two tigers is a significant one, especially for humans. Neither tiger hunts humans as part of their normal diet, but one of the two tigers is known to be a man-eater. The Bengal tiger, under the right circumstances, will eat humans. Bengals will attack humans in 2 cases. First, they will attack humans who interfere with the Bengal's hunting or feeding. Bengal mothers do not take kindly to people when they are feeding their cubs. Also, older Bengals will kill humans for food because humans are easy to eat, unlike wild boar, for example. Human skin is soft and fleshy, perfect for an old tiger with weak muscles and worn-down teeth. Siberians, however, will generally not attack humans unless they feel threatened. As such, records show that Bengal attacks are far more common than Siberian attacks.
Supernovae.
All right, students, so that is a reading by a native British speaker. So again, I highly recommend using our websites for these reading passages just to improve your reading fluency and accuracy and even the pronunciation of words. So using these reading audio CDs on our website, along with our practice exams, interactive courses, and videos is a really, really good idea. Again, all you need to do is just click these red buttons to join our premium package, and you're off to the races. So there's a study plan included with the full packages, so they'll explain exactly what to do, and they tell you to use these reading audios, okay? All right, now we're going to answer the questions in the passage that we took a look at before reading, okay, at least some of them. And the first ones here are, again, these classifications. So we realize that we're really looking at Bengal tigers and Siberian tigers, and hopefully you were able to visualize a lot of the information while you were reading and listening to this British person. So you should have been reading, not just listening, okay? If you were just listening, this might be quite challenging. Okay, these kinds of questions where you have to organize information, one big tip is use logic, okay? So use your logic to help you with this, all right? I'm going to show you what I mean exactly by that. And so number 14 lives further from the equator. Okay, and again, they didn't actually say the equator specifically, I think, in the passage. So is it A, the Bengal tiger, or is it B, the Siberian tiger? So which one lives further from the equator? Now, always look carefully at qualifying words like further, okay, from the equator. So Fatma says Bengal. Always says nope. It's got to be the Siberian tiger. The correct answer here, everyone, is B. Okay, the Siberian tiger. So think about it. It lives in Siberia. Okay, Siberia is a lot further from the equator than Bhutan or Nepal or India. Right? It's a lot further north. I should take my headset off so I'm not shouting as much as usual. All right, so B, Siberian tiger, and that's what I mean by logic, right? Siberian tiger obviously lives in Siberia, and Bengal tiger lives in India, Bhutan, Nepal, okay, and I think maybe a couple other countries, but that's kind of the idea. So Siberia, logically, is much further north, okay? We don't need to be geography majors to know that, okay? So number 14 is B, Siberian tiger. And then number 15 has significantly higher population, so there are many more of them living in the world. Number 15, the correct answer, everyone, is A. You should have, again, visualized this. So that there are at least 5 times as many Bengal tigers. And you shouldn't have to look at the passage for all of these as long as you've got an understanding. This passage, not to scare you students, but this passage is actually kind of one of the easier passages for the IELTS. So this passage you should almost be able to answer like 8 or 9 out of the 12, 13 questions without looking at the passage. If you're not able to, then you might be in trouble on the real IELTS exam. So significantly higher populations. Anybody remember the numbers? So you should kind of have quantitative information in your head. So how many Bengal tigers are there in the wild and how many Siberian tigers are there in the world? Anybody remember the numbers? Room is asking how many paragraphs will there be? It depends. Like Room, in this one there are lots of paragraphs because it's a magazine style passage, but some passages it's like 5 paragraphs, some passages it'll be like 8. It really depends on the information. Okay, so Carolina says there's like 200 to 300 Siberian tigers, and Lena says there's like 1,800 Bengal tigers. Yeah, exactly. So there's at least 5 times more, and you should visually see that. It was in the passage, right? And it was kind of in the beginning here, right there. So Bengal tigers are the most numerous. You see it right there, okay? 1,800, okay? And then with the Siberian tigers, it's only 200 to 300. It's terrible. It's not a lot. So you can see that there's a very, very big difference, even up to 9 times as many, right? You shouldn't have to search the passage for that kind of information, okay? That should be in your head when you finish. So practice active reading, everyone. Practice remembering what you read, okay? All right. Number 16. Exhibits large size fluctuations depending on geography. So it can be much bigger depending on where it lives. Is it the Bengal tiger or is it the Siberian tiger? Which one can be much bigger depending on where it lives? And Harini and Sarabjit say it's the, Sarabjit says it's B. Let's see. Kolad says it's A. Kolad says it's Bengal tigers. Yeah, so the correct answer for 16 is A. And again, that makes sense. So logically, there are so few Siberian tigers that it makes more sense that the answer here is Bengal tigers. Okay, because they live in different parts of India, Bhutan, Nepal, right? So depending on where they live and they have maybe more food, they get bigger and bigger. And again, that was also in the passage, okay? All right, so use your logic. So again, it's one of those logic type questions where if you really think about it logically, you don't have to do a lot of searching. Does that make sense, students? Like how I'm using logic to really help me with these answers? If I have a tiger like the Siberian, it lives in Siberia and there's not a lot of them, we're probably not even going to get a good statistic about their size differences, okay? But when you have the Bengal tiger and you've got at least, well, let's say close to 2,000, and some of them are living in different regions of Southeast Asia and Central Asia, then you're going to get some variance in the sizes of this species of cat. Okay? Does that make sense how logic can really help you as long as you're using it? Okay? Andre says, yes, of course. Cass, it can be their weight. It's still their weight within the species. Okay? So it's still size fluctuations. Fluctuations means variance, and it is their weight, Cass. It's just within the species, right? So variances, okay? So pay careful attention to these kinds of words like fluctuations, okay? It doesn't say is much larger than the other species, okay? All right, so here again, this is a very clear logic. This should be an easy one. There is no way that you should be searching for this in the passage. So grows no additional fur during different seasons, and pay attention to no additional fur. Okay, so no additional fur. Is it Bengal tigers or Siberian tigers? Number 17. There we go. Now you're getting the hang of it. We've got lots of students, Sarabjit, Kolad, Harini, Pushpendra, Rashika, all with the correct answers. So number 17, absolutely A, right? It's got to be the Bengal tiger. Has to be the Bengal tiger because it lives in a more stable climate. Okay, so the Bengal tiger lives in places where the temperature doesn't change much, right? So it grows no additional fur. Be really careful with these kinds of negative markers like no, okay? All right, lives in a climate with large temperature fluctuations, so a lot of plus minus during winter and summer, and you should be able to figure out that this is B, which is the Siberian tiger. Okay, very cold winters, much warmer summers. Okay, so those are the correct answers for this one. So it's B, A, and B. All right, those are your right answers. Okay, keep that in mind. All right, so logic. Notice how I really didn't have to go back to the passage for any of this, all right, as long as I understand these fairly clearly. Okay, and I can tell that by the end of it, a lot of people got those answers. Okay, so now we have these yes, no, not given questions, and the answer is yes if the statement agrees with the author, basically. No, if the statement is the opposite of what the author is saying or does not agree. And not given if we just simply have no idea based on what the writer is saying. Okay, so don't use your own knowledge. Don't be like, well, I know that's not true, so it's got to be no. No, if the author does not say any information, it's not given. Okay. All right. So here, there's a very simple logical step for yes, no, not given, and true, false, not given. You go through some simple logic here. So step one, figure out if it is given or not given by asking is it important for the passage? Okay, if it's important for the passage, it is most likely given. Okay, versus if it is not important information for the passage or too much detail, then it is not given. Okay, so we're writing a passage about tigers. Both animals are primarily meat eaters. Is it important? So if you're writing a passage about tigers, is it important to talk about whether they eat just meat or they eat vegetables? You know, tiger chewing on some carrots. Or they're eating both, a little bit of carrots with a little bit of chicken. That's a delicious dinner. So would you write about that? So would you include that information? Oa says yes. Jyoti says yes. Carolina says sure. All right, I agree. So yes, diet is important when discussing tigers, right? I would say, okay. So I'm glad that some of you are getting some laughs out of my imitation of tigers eating carrots. Yeah, it's a kind of a funny visual. Those big teeth, right? They might use a carrot to clean their teeth. You never know, like a toothpick. If I were a tiger, that's what I would do. So definitely it's going to be given, right? Then you can ask the next question, and that's the second question. So now that you've figured out that it's given, so step 2, when you realize that the answer must be given, is likely given, then you just have to figure out if it's true or not. True or false, and if it's a yes, no, then of course you have to write yes or no, okay? All right, and you can use your own information for that. IELTS usually isn't so complicated, right? So is it true that both animals are mostly meat eaters? I mean, you know, they might get a little bit of grass in there when they're eating up that wild boar or that chital, you know, but I don't think they're eating the grass on purpose. So are they mostly then just meat eaters? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so is it true? Yes. Therefore, the answer is yes. Okay, for number 19, bonus question, everybody. What do you call a meat eater? And then super bonus question, plant eater is called. And then super bonus question, like a human, meat and plant eater. You should know these. This is only used in science, so we don't actually go up to people and say, hey, I'm a, okay. All right, we've got some answers coming up. Very good. Okay, so a meat eater is called a carnivore. A plant eater, yeah, they're vegetarians, but they're not called vegetarians. I like the comedy. They're not vegetarians. They're called herbivores. Herb, right? Herbivore. So herb is another way to say plant, herbivore. And yeah, those that eat both are called omnivores. Okay, so yeah, and we've got Robin Hood saying carnivore, herbivore, omnivore. Romaine said that was important too. Good, I do take peeks up at the General English Help channel there as well. So very good. All right. Yeah. Fatma says carnivore. All right. Yeah, absolutely. Humans, pigs, bears are omnivorous. Okay, horses, camels, rabbits are herbivores, and tigers, dogs, wolves, dolphins are carnivores. All right. Dolphins, you wouldn't think, they're just so cute. But yeah, they eat only meat. You never see a dolphin chewing on seaweed. Okay, so with the same logic, everybody, you continue for the rest of these. So the gestation period for females is about 4 years. Okay. What do you think gestation period means? Like, some of you might be like, oh, what is a gestation period? I've never heard that collocation before. And now you're like, okay, well, I'm going to go back and skim read the passage and try to find it. And where's gestation period? And actually, you won't find it. It's not in there. So don't freak out, okay? You should always look at the question carefully to figure it out before you jump to the passage, okay? So look at the question first to understand it before you freak out and start frantically skim reading, which you shouldn't do anyway. So you shouldn't be frantically skim reading, okay? Jyoti says it's the pregnancy period. Yeah, and how do you get that, Jyoti? Well, you realize that it's for females, and it's something that takes a long time, right? So there's no males. It's something specifically for females. And if you're using a bit of logic, you realize that this is the period of pregnancy. Okay, so time for pregnancy. All right, is about 4 years. Whew, could you imagine? That poor woman. Yeah, and by this I mean that poor woman tiger. So 4 years, being pregnant for 4 years would be a challenging task. Humans, of course, human women are pregnant for 9 months. And as many of you know, it is the longest gestation, or among the longest gestation periods in the animal kingdom. So that really, I mean, first of all, is it important? So if I'm writing about tigers, is that going to be important? Yeah. Suk says it's reproduction. That could be definitely important in the passage. Is it true? So here, I go through these steps again, right? So important, yes. So given, and then I go to my next step, true, no. So false, so in this case, the answer is no. Okay? Now, all jokes aside, let's do this nice and fast for the next 3, okay? So, young tigers need their mother for survival during the first half year. Important. Yes, it's a part of their life, how they grow up. So, yes. So, given, I definitely, if I wrote a passage about Siberian and Bengal tigers, I would talk about that. Okay. Is it true? Yes. Because I remember that it said 6 months. So, therefore, yes. Okay. And if I had to, I would search for this, but I don't need to because I remember it said 6 months. They are entirely dependent on their mother for 6 months, and 6 months is a paraphrase of first half year. Okay? All right, next one. Killing is a rite of passage which shows a cub is ready to leave their mother. So again, here I'm asking, is it important? I think it's too much detail. Because here the goal is to compare Bengal and Siberian tigers, and I think it's a little bit too much detail talking about deeply about the hunting rituals of tigers. So no, too much detail. Therefore, no. Okay? If a mother gives birth to 1 to 4 cubs, it is common for one not to live past 6 months. I didn't visualize any baby cubs dying, so important. Same, too much detail. So no, therefore no. Now, if many of you had the same kind of logic as me, then that's great, okay? If you don't know the answers to these, right, like if you're like maybe, let's say that your answer is maybe. Maybe. So you're like, well, Adrian, how do you know that? Like, how do you know that it's too much detail? And how do you know that the examiner didn't actually give the passage didn't actually give this information? Okay, so you're like, I don't agree with Adrian. I don't know. It's a maybe for me. If your answer to these last 2 questions was a maybe and you didn't agree with me, you're like, nah, Adrian, you're too confident. That could be dangerous. I would just say maybe for these. What should you do? Yeah, Mien, sorry, they should be not given. Yeah, the answer for these are not given. Yeah, I was just typing a bit too fast. So these are not given. Okay, these 2. So these last 2 are not given. Yep, thank you for helping me with that. So let's see that. So Ois says review the passage. Mien says skim read the passage. When should I do that? Okay, so when should I review the passage for these last 2? So Cass says you'll definitely end up skim reading. I agree. Okay, and when should I do that? When should I do it right away? Like, should I just right now go, oh, whoa, these are maybes. Let's go back. Whoa, where is it? I'm reading. Should I do it now? Or should I do something else? Okay. What do you think? The right strategy, everyone. Cass says, no, not really. Yeah, you could probably tell by my attitude. Yeah, so what you should do is once you have completed all of the questions for the passage. Okay, and the reason for that is that the next questions might help you. Okay, so here we have some more questions, 24, 25, 26. And you might have a question, like we don't have it here, I think, but you might have a question 27. So you might have a question like this. After a tiger cub has proven that it can kill animals on its own, it will its home. Okay, so you might have a question like this. I'm just kind of adding this in for fun right now. But you might have a question like this. After a tiger cub has proven that it can kill animals on its own, it will something its home. And then when you do this question, and this happens in IELTS actually quite often, then you realize that, oh, wait a second. Killing is a rite of passage which shows a cub is ready to leave its mother. So this one has to be now given, and it's probably true, so therefore it's a yes. So questions can help you figure out the answers to questions, especially to yes, no, not given. Keep that in mind before you start searching like crazy in the passage. Okay? So is everybody clear on that? Everybody good? Okay? So before you start freaking out, when you see a question that you're not sure of, do all the other questions, and then come back to those questions. And the other reason for that, there's another very important reason for this, is because you should always use your time for questions where you can get the right answer. And then if you have time remaining, then use that for questions where you're not sure. Don't waste your time on questions that you might get wrong anyway, and then accidentally not have time for questions that you do know the answer to. Is that clear? It's a very important tip. Okay, so always finish the questions that you are certain about so that you maximize your score. I've seen lots of times where students realize too late that there's a couple of questions they couldn't get to, and they're like, oh, I probably would have known the answer for those if I didn't waste a whole bunch of time trying to figure out a question that I had no idea what it even meant. Okay? All right? So it saves your time. It's just a more efficient use of time. Using time efficiently is very important. Okay? All right, so let's go through these questions. Humans are not a part of the tiger's regular what? Everyone, give me the answers. Number 25, while not common, the Bengal tiger will resort to something humans, especially if they are unable to process the flesh of other animals. Attacks by Bengal tigers are often committed in defense of the tiger's something. Okay, a lot of you are saying diet for that. It's correct. Regular diet, small letter, right? So diet, yeah, let me do it like this so you realize that's the answer there. Yeah, diet, absolutely. While not common, the Bengal tiger will resort to something humans. Rum says preying on, but it's not so much preying on because they're not actually going to go into the city to hunt down humans, but it's eating humans, okay, is the more accurate. Not attacking, but eating. They'll resort to eating humans. Okay? Attack by Bengals are often committed in defense of the tiger's cubs. All right. Oh, and then comes the next passage. Explosions in space. And we're going to do this passage next week. We do have 2 more classes tomorrow, but they're not reading classes. So our next reading class will be next week. We're going to have a writing and speaking class tomorrow at this time, everybody. So if you enjoyed this lesson, make sure to mark our live classes in your calendar. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got tons and tons of help for you to pass your IELTS exam. We are world leaders when it comes to IELTS exam preparation. Our students come back and share their success stories with us all the time. So be one of those success stories. Make sure to join us at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Those websites, they look like this, and all you need to do to join is click the red button right up there. For the general IELTS, the green background, gieltshelp.com, right there. Okay, everyone, that's it for today. I hope for those of you that are celebrating Christmas, you have a wonderful, safe, healthy, happy Christmas Eve. And I will see you tomorrow morning for Christmas Day. We'll celebrate Christmas together. Everybody else, wherever you are in our beautiful world, love each other, take care of each other. Positive attitudes spreads positive attitude. Keep that in mind. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria for now. I'll catch you all tomorrow. Much love to everyone. Bye.